We've been asking the wrong question about AI for at least 8 years. I know because I've been one of the people asking it. Let's go back. It's August 2018. I'm in Miami, training in a 757 simulator for my next assignment as a pilot in Air Force Two. Every day, I'm sitting in the ground school, memorizing procedures or breathing the recycled air in a sim while running emergency checklists and hand-flying single-engine approaches. Like any workplace, sim buildings have posters on the walls. They're everywhere. Except, instead of a motivational poster telling me to aim high and realize my dreams, these posters are reminding me that my job isn't to think or troubleshoot. It is just to get the plane safely on the ground by following procedures. In large, bold font, the posters tell me, do not innovate. Follow the checklist. And my favorite, cowboys die. These were also the early days of self-driving, Waymo, Tesla, Cruise. Everyone was wondering how long it would take for AI to replace human drivers. But while admiring these posters one day, the irony hits me. Flying on a modern flight deck, operating in a structured airspace, has to be one of the most procedural environments that humans work in. Don't innovate. Follow the checklist. Cowboys die. Meanwhile, the open road, kids, animals, road rage, construction, it's chaos. So I write an op-ed for Aviation Week. The argument was simple. If we are going to automate transportation, the wide open, chaotic road won't be the first place. The mismatch is too great. The favorable operating environment and pre-existing autonomy in aviation meant it was going to be the highly procedural cockpit. Pilots, I argued, before drivers. That op-ed generated spirited letters from readers and chatter in Facebook groups. Those reactions were thanks in part to a counter-argument published on the same page as my piece, written by the president of the Airline Pilots Association, Captain Tim Kanal, representing 60,000 commercial pilots. Here's the most measurable line. No one has ever thought, I wish my pilot was less skilled or not in the airplane at all. That piece wasn't actually written to engage my argument. It was written to kill a proposed FAA research program into single pilot cargo operations. It was a political artifact, and it worked. The research was never funded. So yeah, the pilot community did push back pretty hard. But eventually I came around too because I was wrong. But not for the reasons my critics gave. Kanal and I were making different arguments, but we were stuck in the same trap. While he was defending the pilots, I was advocating for a future algorithm. We were both thinking about the replacement question. It took me years to figure out the question we were both missing and should have been asking in the first place. Because 8 years later, here in 2026, despite the progress, we don't have pilotless airliners in commercial service, and there are no driverless cities at scale. Both promises hit the same wall. I discovered that wall when I stopped asking when autonomy would replace humans and started asking the question, how should we design autonomy? There are two ways to design an autonomous system. The dominant one, I'll call this layout replace. It assumes the algorithm should do the entire job, start to finish, no assistance, no interruption. If the system needs a human, the system has failed. Replace is the assumption behind viral demos and marketing, the robot that folds the laundry by itself, the drone that delivers your package by itself, the car that drives itself. The other one, layout maximize, assumes something different. It assumes the algorithm doesn't have to do everything alone. It assumes the algorithm's most important capability isn't doing the task alone, it's knowing when to ask for help. That sounds modest, sounds like a fallback. Actually, it's the opposite. Because if you write these two assumptions down formally, something useful appears. Replace says for every part of the task, the algorithm can do it. Maximize says there exists at least one part of the task that the algorithm cannot do alone. These aren't two flavors. These are logical negations of each other, which means the moment I pick replace as my design assumption, I've committed to a specific claim about the world, a claim that is almost never true. Because in the real world, there are many categories of constraints that don't disappear when the model gets bigger. Let's take a look at 5 of them. Technology. This is just a starting floor. There are many tasks today's AI cannot safely and reliably do. And the others interact with each other. Users don't trust a black box at full control of certain things. And even when they do, regulation may mandate a human in the loop. And practically speaking, the marginal cost of increased automation often doesn't outweigh the benefit. Most visibly, people mobilize when they think AI is coming for them. ALPA, in the article, did it in 2018. And just this month, there's a lot of stories where graduates booed commencement speakers who brought up AI. Different industries, different generations, same floor. As any one of these is enough to make pure replace impossible. So here's what actually happens when I pursue full autonomy. This chart here shows the share of a task that still requires human involvement over time. Replace's promise is to drive that to 0. There is no constraint curve, is how I was thinking in 2018, that just naturally it would come down to 0. But now you add in technology, and the curve flattens here. You add in the other constraints, and they come here, and here, and here. Each constraint becomes a floor, because layout replace always hits a floor. You don't hear about that floor very often because either the effort never makes it out of stealth, or like Waymo or Tesla, they quietly keep humans involved. But that doesn't mean that Maximize solves the replace problem on its own either. Let's go to October 2nd, 2023 in San Francisco. Tragically, a woman is hit by a non-Cruise vehicle and thrown into the path of a Cruise robotaxi. The car pulls to the curb to clear traffic while dragging her under the car for 20 feet. Now, here's what most people don't know about Cruise. Cruise had humans in the loop. They had a 24/7 control room in Scottsdale, one remote operator for every 15 to 20 cars. Their cars asked for help every 2.5 miles. They had the Maximize infrastructure. In fact, their CEO publicly defended remote oversight as a feature. So, why did it collapse? The California DMV didn't pull the permit because of the incident alone. They pulled it because Cruise withheld the video from regulators. They had the sensor, they chose not to read it. Layout Maximize is designed to elevate human abilities, but even with superhuman abilities, risk is a human endeavor to be managed at the right level. In the military context, we need autonomous capabilities to deter, compete, and win. But those systems must be calibrated, and commanders still own success or failure. Cruise wasn't undone by missing Layout Maximize. Cruise was undone in execution by refusing to honor it. Maximize is only powerful if you're willing to see what it sees. Which brings me to the most important reframe of the talk. Layout Maximize, the algorithm that knows when to ask for help, is not a fallback. It is not layout replace with training wheels. It's a sensor. Every time Maximize system stops and asks for help, that ask is a signal, pointing at a specific limit in my technology, my policy, my users' trust, my operating environment. Pure replace systems are blind to those signals. Maximize systems live on them. Now, let me tell you what works. Lieutenant Colonel John Heder Alora, the AI Studios Director of Operations, led a team of students at Stanford and the Air Force Test Pilot School to build an AI co-pilot for the cockpit. Not to replace the pilot, to amplify the pilot. 22 Air Force test pilots flew paired emergency scenarios at Edwards on a Learjet 25. Same emergencies, half with the AI, half without. Here are the numbers from the real test flight. When paired with the AI co-pilot, pilots made high-quality decisions 5 times more often, 9% without, 46% with. They generated courses of action 3 times faster, shaving 3 minutes off mean scenario resolution. And stress, measured by heart rate variability, dropped 37% under real flight stressors. And we're scaling it. Our next step is on the C-12. So here's the whole talk in a sentence. In the same way human involvement adds no value to predetermined automation, the AI added almost no value during well-trained procedural failures. Where the pilots already had the checklist, they didn't need help. The AI added all of its value in the moments where human cognition hit its limits. Novel situations, incomplete information, judgment calls. That is not a replacement, that's a duel. That's what Layout Maximize looks like in the cockpit. Here's where autonomy stops being binary and starts being a loop. The AI asks for help at its boundary, the constraint is named, the team, engineers, policymakers, operators, solves for that specific limit, and the boundary moves. This is how autonomy actually grows in the real world. Which brings me back to August 2018, back to the simulator, back to my prediction. I was wrong. Not because cockpits are less procedural than I thought. I was wrong because I was asking the replacement question. I was designing in layout replace. At the AI Studio, we are not designing to replace pilots. We are not replacing drivers or radiologists or analysts or judges or teachers. We are building their dual. Today, my dual is a co-pilot or a wingman, the crew member that runs the checklist while I fly the airplane, that knows precisely when I am the lead and when I need help. That is what frontier AI looks like. Not an algorithm that flies the airplane alone, an algorithm that knows exactly when humans extend its reach and when it extends human cognition. Anyone designing machines to come and replace you will hit a floor of performance before they hit a threshold of success. Unfortunately, for our recent graduates, that could be after you've been fired or never hired in the first place. However, AI that sits next to you as your dual, that's different. Find the people building that. Go work for them. Because that's the frontier. The seat where every capability they unlock on you unlocks a next improvement in them. The useful question was never, when will AI replace us? The critical question is whether we are going to design AI to replace human cognition or to maximize it. I think we should choose maximize. Thank you.